Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Update. We've got some breaking news out of Universal Florida, where we just learned that Dueling Dragons is returning for Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago. We got Rob Dole joining us here, Mr. HHN expert and former write-op for Dueling Dragons. And we also got the famous Brian Bass is here. Brian Bass.
Where'd Brian go?
Oh. What?
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Dark Side.
It was me the whole time. What? Oh, Andy, thank you so much. So much going on. What a shock.
What is going on here?
Craziest twist in the history of COASTER-net history.
Hold on. Are you suggesting this is even bigger breaking news? This is bigger than Dueling Dragons.
Wait,
this is bigger than whatever's being announced at Cedar Point. Are you telling me right now that you are that low down, despicable dark side dick?
I am not saying I am, but I'm not saying I'm not. I don't know.
I thought it was.
I don't even know where.
To be honest with you,
I don't even know. Yeah, it was weird. No, I am blown away. None of that matters because of Universal did the unthinkable, Andy. I mean, what's your gut reaction to this?
This is insane. Like, and I am the biggest HHN fan there is.
That's true. Really. Undisputed. Shut up, Rob. Undisputed.
Undisputed. I got a belt somewhere for it. I got like 16 belts. So,
hold on. When's the last time you went?
I can't even tell you. When was? You guys probably know more than I do than when the last time.
Did Rob Dole just pull a Danny Miller?
Yeah. It was Ghostbusters. Wasn't it Ghostbusters? What was that, 2018?
Yeah. The last good year.
Yeah. So the last time it was actually good, that's when I went. And I said, you know what? I'm kind of done with this whole scene. It's gotten to be too crowded, too crazy, too expensive to just go down for a weekend.
Preach on the last one.
And I kind of just like swore it all off, and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it. I'm happy going to Worlds of Fun for Haunt during Columbus Day weekend.
Yep.
And Universal goes and does something stupid. and they decide to actually make a good decision. Maybe the first good decision in maybe a decade that the park has made.
That feels debatable, but we don't have enough time for that.
We don't have enough time for that, but we'll just let it ride. They're bringing back Dueling Dragons. What? They're making a roller coaster into a haunt? What is this madness?
It is exactly that, Andy. It is madness. And I mean, this was a rumor for a really long time this year. I say a long time, but for the whole season. And I thought it was wishful thinking. I thought people, inside
no way.
They see details. It's a castle. They've got something silly planned, and people are like, Dueling Dragons, maybe loosely based. And there was a leak, maybe Rob, what was it, like a week or two ago with all the houses, and I saw the name and I was like, no shot. They call this Dueling Dragons. That's not the name of the house.
We both said that. No, we were like, there's no way they're gonna call it this, because I sent you that screenshot. I sent you the screenshot and I said, there's no way no way that's happening. And I was still optimistic the whole, because during spec season, so HHN was a Horror Night Nightmares. They always put out a spec map, and version 1 of the spec map, it basically just had a dragon and a castle on it. So we were just like, it's a dragon themed. It could be like a.
They've done it before. They did the gladiator theme the one year. So they've done historical stuff. They did the one with the cannibals and the colonials. Yes. They're bringing colonials back again.
Colonials are back again. But yeah, it's again. At no point was it. It was I thought it was gonna be a generic dragon.
Yep. No. It's the actual ride, and it actually makes sense.
Dueling Dragons.
Now, I was never fortunate enough to go through the original queue line for Dueling Dragons. I only wrote it as Dragon Challenge. Rob, you worked it as Dueling Dragons.
Has one of the most tragic dueling. One of the most tragic. Hold on.
Have to tell your
Rob has one of the most tragic Thuzy stories of all time. And I mean that. I love you, Rob, but it breaks my heart. Okay,
so
let the people know.
So I worked one day because at Universal.
So
So you worked at Universal as an attractions person.
I worked at the Spider. That was my main ride was the Spider-Man ride. So I was that was my main home. So when somebody basically calls out sick or they need somebody at another area, Brian, they'll move you
Right.
in. They'll move you to another attraction. So I did Dueling Dragons one time. Obviously um I wasn't trained to do like the roller coaster stuff, work the roller coaster controls and stuff. So they put me at the unload platform. I think load and unload. I think I did both, but I know specifically did unload. So I was able to do that, but I never wrote it.
You never wrote it at all. You never even wrote it as Dragon Challenge.
Question: how long did you work at Universal? Was it more than 6 months?
I was there. In
Oh no.
I think I was there in July. No, I was only there for like 4 or 5 months.
Okay, all
It's
right.
still more than enough time to get on a roller coaster.
I'm trying to dig you out of this hole, Rob.
Listen. I was not a thuzy actually.
Okay. Did you even ride roller coasters at the time?
No, I did not. I was actually I had fear. I had a dreaded fear of roller coasters.
Okay.
For a long time, and I conquered that fear, and now
you're a thuzy.
Now you're a thuzy.
Fell in love with a ride called
and you worked one of the most iconic B&M inverts of all time, one of the most iconic roller coasters of all time. Never rode it. And this ride was iconic for two reasons. Obviously, the dueling aspect was your wife wrote. That's even crazier. That's even crazier to me. But not the other half of this ride, and you probably, even just working in the station, you probably could tell how incredible the theme was to this roller coaster. And this up until, man, I don't know what year it changed. It would have been, I hate to even bring this up, Andy. Manta.
It's when Harry Potter opened.
Harry Potter opened. I would say up until Manta and Harry Potter, one of the single greatest themed lines of all time. It was my absolute favorite attraction for half the reason of just going through the line. You'd never seen a line like this outside of, maybe Disney or overseas somewhere. But even then, it's still this destroyed. This is 99 we're talking about. One of the most incredible storytelling experiences of all time with that HHN attention to detail. And this line, this was the standard. It was the gold standard for, about a decade of what a coaster line should be. And the line was as iconic as the ride was. And then it tragically was switched over to Harry Potter. And Andy, you said you got to see that version of it, correct?
Oh yeah, I wrote it as Dragon Challenge.
So you got to see kind of a shell of what it was. It still was foundationally the same with scene changes.
They took out a lot of the props.
Yes, they took out a lot of the props.
The general idea of the cave was still there. The props are all gone though.
Yeah.
Because I heard they gutted. I heard they pretty much gutted it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now we actually have on COASTER.net. I know no one ever goes to our website anymore.
I did
on COASTER.net. If you go to parks and you click Islands of Adventure and then you click the media gallery, we actually have a couple pictures of the queue line.
That's pretty incredible.
We do. So we have a picture of
guys. Go to COASTER.net right now and look at these photos, because especially a lot of you, I don't want to say youngins, because I'm pretty young myself compared to the two elderly folks I'm talking to right now. I'm not that far off, but yes, go check it out. This line was, I don't know how, if we just want to get right into this, but man, you walk up to the facade of the castle. I'll never forget the first time just not knowing where to go in the line. I went the wrong way, which is embarrassing because I was a coaster enthusiast at this point, but the line was so confusing because it was cavernous, it was dark, you had extended queue that wasn't in use. And from the very first little turret you went in and out of, and the dragons flying by the castle, you went into the first roundabout room, and you're talking every scene that I want to gloat about it all, but my single favorite scene and one of my favorite displays I've ever been able to witness is the frozen night room.
Yes.
I honestly would just hang out in that room. The candles were beautiful, but the horse, the knight encased in ice, and you got the story immediately. You started to see, and then the caves got darker and creepier. There were skeletons, there were bones. It got narrow, it got claustrophobic. And then you had to choose thy fate to get to the main canvas room, the tent room, and head out on your dragon challenge. And I mean, I don't know if I can name another roller coaster. The only thing that kind of comes close in terms of like line experience for me is Tower of Terror, but this still just destroyed it because it had more, and I mean, I love the line, and I'm going to tell a story real quick. In 2000, I believe 12, maybe, I worked at Halloween Horror Nights, and while it was not the original Dueling Dragons line, it was switched over to the Harry Potter version of the ride. And a bunch of scare actors and I, after like it was a day of training, we went over to the parks to ride some stuff, and we talked about how great that line would be for a haunted house, to the point where, and I don't know if I've ever told this story to anybody outside of a few close friends, we actually would take turns sending someone in and had the characters go first, and we turned it into our own miniature version of a haunt. And we would send one, like, because there's no line, right?
Yeah.
Ever. And I remember being chased down by one of my buddies, and he's just screaming, and I'm running through the caves, and I'm freaking. It was so atmospheric and amazing. I was like, this, and we all agreed, this should be a haunted house. This should be an HHN line. I don't know how we're HHN maze. This line should be transferred, but I didn't know how to make sense of it. And they did it, Andy. They finally made sense of it.
Yes. Now we can assume that they're going to have a lot of those same things. The frozen nights. If they don't have,
if there's no frozen room, I'm going to riot.
Like many people will riot, not just you. But the better question is the tagline, because one of Dueling Dragons' great things on it is at some point in the queue, you got to choose your fate. You got to go either fire or ice. My time around was Horntail or Fireball.
Yeah.
So you got to choose which of the two coasters you want to go on. And it was two separate coasters. Anyone doesn't know about Dueling Dragons or Dragon Challenge, it was two separate coasters. They shared a lift hill, but they were two completely different layouts. So the question in front of us,
which side was better?
Is, well, I always thought Horntail was better, and Horntail was
blue ice. Yeah. Ice had better near misses, but Fire had a better drop in the back row, and it had that crazy half loop, half cork helix element out of it. That was really it. But what's the real question tonight, Andy?
So the question is, are there going to be two separate haunted houses here that you get to choose a path?
Rob can attest to this. I've been going to Horror Nights since 2009. I worked it in 2012. I love haunted houses. I work on local haunts here. I've been to park haunts. I've been Hauntiverse, if those of you who remember, was a big part of that. Andy and I, OG. Rob, have I ever been more wrong on anything in my life than predicting A, there's not going to be a Dueling Dragons house, and B, there will not be a multi-path choose your stupid route?
I told you, I called it with you. I said, wouldn't it be crazy if they had two paths to choose from? And you're like,
I said, you're crazy. There's no, they can't do it with Halloween Horror Nights crowds. They can't, Andy. They can't do it.
It's just a double house. Like, and where you could do it, I'm going to tell you where you could do it.
Okay, let's hear it.
In the back, in the pop-ups, they usually use those tents back there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And don't they have two of them right next to each other, or even one of the big sound stages? They usually have two haunts going through there anyway.
So it is a soundstage house.
Okay, it is a soundstage house.
It is a soundstage house. So here's the way I've had time to think about this, because they did try this. Halloween Horror Nights has tried a separate pathway. I don't remember what house it was. It was such a minuscule thing. It was overhyped. It was one room, and you went around a like column essentially with stuff in it. It was like an elongated column. And the split up wasn't the problem. I got split up from my group, and whatever. The rejoining was the problem. And that's what caused backups, and everyone's trying to stay with their group. And I ended up getting separated from my group. And I thought it was fun, but not everybody loves that. So the way I see this being pulled off is once you split up, that never rejoins. You choose your ending, and that's it. Because what they've confirmed is there are 4 endings to this haunted house. So logic would say 2 per side, right? I don't know.
Well,
because my thing is why not just choose right at the beginning? Like if you think of like the Freddy versus Jason house, you had that wide opening that you could have easily put 2 doors right there.
2 doors. True.
And
True.
just choose right at the beginning, and then you just do it's 2 separate houses almost, and you're getting 2 for 1.
I would absolutely love that. If that ends up being what it is, I'll be blown away. I think it's brilliant. I think they could do it. They have the space for it. We kind of saw a split house concept, Rob, last year with Blumhouse. They could do something like that. The only thing is, will it be shorter? Is it double the cost? Does it count as 11 houses for those taking credits? What do we get?
So I think
I would count it as 11 if it's a complete.
Here's my man. Yeah, but here's what they're doing. So it's the same concept. They've done this for the last 2 years, and obviously me and Brian have been to it. Andy hasn't seen.
I skipped out on the bad years. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had in HHN 30 we had the Icons house. So when you get to the end of that, there's always going to be a new icon of the event sitting on the throne. So it's kind of like the victor of that. And that was that ending. And you see it ending. What was it, Brian? How often did they change out the?
It was a lot. I think there were 4 or 5 different, because there was A cast, B cast, and then each cast had 2 different endings. It was a fair amount.
And then 31, like that. 31 we had Legends Collide.
Right.
And over there with Legends Collide, this one wasn't as cast changing, or it wasn't as scene changing with the final victor as the Icons house was. So that one was more like, I think it's like it was nightly.
Yeah.
Every night they had a different winner.
So to boil this down and get my head around it, it's not a physical ending that's different. It's just a cast ending that's different.
Correct.
A story ending.
So here's my yes. And that's why I've not really cared for the gimmick of, even at Icons, some scenes were better than others because of the talent, their ability, their characteristics of what they would do. But for the most part, it didn't really matter, because then you go into the sub argument of, okay, the locals get to be rewarded by having the multiple chances to go through and see different endings, but the people who are there for 1 night or 2 nights, they kind of get screwed. But also, do they care or do they know? Right. So that's all.
Even recognize.
You recognize. So some argument. Here's my question,
Rob. The Usher part was great, though.
The Usher part was the best. But my question is, could we see, and this doesn't go with the whole choose concept, could we see 2 different paths? But it depends on what cast is in the house. If cast A is in the house, you go to the left. If cast B is in the house, you go to the right. So you actually get scenic changes, and you don't have that weird changeover problem that every house has. So you would have
2 physical haunts still, but
for the last third, only for the last third of the house.
Yeah. What if this is a universal thing and we actually don't get to choose, and they just kind of have you go a path anyways, and they just kind of change.
We could be all overhyping what this means, but they said it. But they said,
"Oh my god, we're a bunch of dragster enthusiasts now."
Oh god, oh jeez. Look, I love the community, but the amount of recommended videos in my algorithm for dragster updates is too many. Here's the thing. I listened to the podcast, and they specifically said, like, you will get to choose your fate. And now again, the podcast is good. It's still marketing. It's not 100% transparency. You can tell they're watching what they say and how they say it. But
they did say that the bugs would like freak us out, and it really.
Well, yeah, but I think there's a chance we'll see them. People have been asking for since Lady Luck that we get to choose our own adventure, and the only time I've ever seen Universal successfully pull it off wasn't in the house I mentioned, but the what was the scare zone with the changing fences, the blackout zone. I don't know if you guys will remember this, but I don't someone in the comments, let me know. You're yelling at me, but there was a scare zone that they pulled off that had these black like cloth chain link fences that were on pivots and wheels, and they would change the direction of where you could go while you were in it. And a lot of people didn't like it because it was pretty bare bones, but I appreciated the concept and trying to make something different, because what so many people don't understand is managing that many people to do something that unique, which, yes, at a local haunt, I've had my choose my own adventure haunted house. That's awesome when you can send a group of 6 on their own through a house. When you're having these thousands and thousands of people pour through a house, I want to see them pull it off. I really do. And Dueling Dragons is the opportunity.
Well, because if you say that the joining part's the issue, you could easily solve that with 2 exits, or you.
I think that's the solution. I do.
Or you join at the exit as well. Like there's, like,
they pour into, because we've seen, actually, that's Rob. That's a great point. Several houses all exit in the same area.
Yeah.
I think that's the ticket. I think
so, but it costs more money because then you got to build 2 sets.
Right. But have you seen the price? Have you seen the prices this year?
Well, true. I have seen the prices. They can afford it. There's no question about that.
They can.
But okay, so what soundstage is this in? Is this in?
Oh, that's a great question. You guys talk about something while I fact checked us live on the air.
I think it's in. I believe it's in the one. Was it in the one they had icons? Was it in that one?
That's a great question. I'm gonna figure it out very soon.
If you think about the ride itself and you think about the queue line, I think it's gonna mirror the queue line a lot. So you're gonna enter. You're gonna start seeing the hints of what's going on. You'll see the frozen knight. You'll see the horse and the knights up there. You'll see the skulls. And then I don't think you're gonna choose your fate into the very end, because that was what the ride did. That you didn't choose at the
until
beginning.
the very end. Rob, you are correct. Again, we don't have confirmation. They don't tell us the locations on the map, but just trust that the information's good.
Which one is the icons one? Where's that one at?
There. So you have A, B, C, D, E, like all entering the sound stages, and then they all become a mess within those sound stages. But we do have 4 to 5 soundstage houses this year. 2 of them share a soundstage.
Yeah, that shares. If that's the one I'm thinking of, that will share it.
That will share it with. Yes, it will.
That's
C.
That's crazy.
It will share the sound. It will share the soundstage with Stranger Things 4.
Oh.
So that's going to be a crazy corner, dude.
I think push people through like different paths.
Yes, I think Andy has it right. I think just like the ride, the choice will be at the end. And then do we see the split cast? So you have 2 sides, A, B on both sides. So each cast, how Halloween Horror Nights works, there's an A cast, a B cast. The A cast will be one ending on the left side and one ending on the right side. The B cast will be the second ending on the left side, the second ending on the right side, making for 4 total endings. But that's the best I can figure.
Now, are we going to have so when you choose, what do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be
I don't know how they're going to I have no idea.
Is it going to be the 2 dragons fighting? Is it going to be
is it going to be dragons, or is it going to be
the warlock? Let's stop for a second. Let's go over the story for anybody who doesn't know. If you are unfamiliar, Discover Universal, is that it, Rob?
Yep.
Discover Universal puts out a podcast. Last year, we got all the original talk in these podcasts. They just put a 3-part series out with a 4th on Dr. Oddfellow, which, again, maybe Hauntiverse needs to make a comeback, because we're getting some deep HHN lore this year. It's crazy. They're connecting every house in Scare Zone to a deep-rooted origin.
Icon.
Yeah. But we have Dueling Dragons, which the story goes, Merlin is away from the castle. He's left his area. His spell book is what is vulnerable right now. You have 2 warlocks battling over this spell book, and they're going through, and this is where I think this house is going to win. You got the woods, you got castle, you got the magic oak, you got all this stuff. Yeah. And when they get to the castle, there's a booby trap set that reverses the magic and turns them into dragons as they're dueling, which, again, why I love Horror Nights. They can make up all this lore, give even deeper backstory to something that already had a lot of backstory, And it sets up almost as a prequel to the roller coaster, which I love this house. It's my number one. I'm sorry. I'm fanboying out right now.
Is it going to be better than AVP? That's all I want to know, because I've yet to go through anything.
God, they're doing
That's
it.
tough.
Which
One of my best-
also, mind you, made you choose, because
It
people
did make you choose. That's
did
true.
not make some people did not want to crawl through the cage at the bottom, and they exited out the other way. So
I remember a very specific episode on this very channel of me talking to Andy about how I got destroyed by an alien in the crawl space. And that will go down as one of my top HHN scares of all time, because Alien's one of the greatest franchises. Predator's great. Alien vs. Predator is like one of the best things ever. And that house crushed it. So
did you guys see the picture of the Discovery Universal? I think those are the podcasters, where they're taking pictures in front of the
I did, yes. The one that is clearly Dueling Dragons.
Yes,
and it's clearly the gate.
Too.
So you're basically, I think you're starting where you're starting in the queue. So it seems like you're going to start.
But they mention in the podcast the forest, the magic oak, like they mention a lot of locations. So will we go out of the castle? Will we, start? I don't know. But
you have to add some stuff to it, because there's not enough from just the queue line.
Right. As they said in the podcast, there's 4 scenes in the original line. There's only 4 scenes. Even though it was epic, it wasn't a lot of sustenance. Like it was, pretty minimal. So it's just, have we ever seen, what would you say, Andy, is fan service to this degree in the amusement park industry? I mean, that's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. Like we always go crazy over different IPs that are dropped or whatever, especially for haunts. I go crazy. I'm still waiting for somebody to do Six Flags to do an Arkham haunt somewhere. I've been asking for that for years. I don't know why it hasn't happened, but
kind of silly at this point.
We don't really see even if you went way back into HHN, I think the closest thing you can say that comes to this, and I know it's just different IPs, but when it was at IOA and you had the Marvel haunts and you had Maximum Carnage and you had things like the Jurassic Park haunts and all that stuff that went through their Triceratops encounter, it kind of tied in what they already had and kind of was like a uniquely universal thing, and you just don't see that.
No,
everything's IP based, horror based, and or which just is completely original. You don't see them tying it to Universal Studios itself, and I'm just missing something. But
the only thing people might argue you're missing is Universal Monsters, but even those aren't present in the park anymore because the cafe was destroyed. Not yet. We have an era coming of that, but to your point, there's content there and there's lore and there's stuff. And so it is nice to see something self-contained and representing themselves. That's something, it was so iconic. It's a great point, honestly.
And it felt like the old school IOA haunts, even in the Dr. Seuss area, stuff kind of tied together with that area. So it fit. Whereas Horror Nights now is everything's overlaid onto what's there.
Yes, that's a great point.
Nothing is taking up. There's no Simpsons haunt. There's no Men in Black alien thing. There's no, Minions thing. Obviously no Minions thing. They don't even have a freaking Death Eaters haunt. What the hell?
But this year they do, baby.
What?
They
got Death Eaters this year.
No, wait. They haven't announced that. It's possibly coming.
No, this would be the greatest year ever. Then this would be.
It really is the greatest year. It is the year for Andy to return. He's waited patiently,
and the Megan Horde, and he can see the Megan Horde.
That hasn't really taken off either, though.
I don't even know what that means.
It's sorry. Let me translate. Mathregan. Does that help?
No, I don't even know what that means. What the hell? So I felt like the old IOA stuff kind of tied into it. And you can
you had the Marvel villains section. You had a lot. Yeah.
And you can argue that Horror Nights builds its own stuff, that they got Jack, they got the icons. They've always done that outside of.
Well, and that's, I think, so to your point though, and let me play a little devil's advocate here. Now this is super unfair because it's you're talking about the 1% of people who know this. But I think that's why everyone is so excited this year, because Dr. Oddfellow is tying into everything. And we haven't seen that in a while. Since Fear, honestly, since the 20th anniversary.
No.
What?
Last year,
Was
Pumpkin
such
Lord.
a Pumpkin Lord Halloween, but it wasn't as deeply rooted as Oddfellow. He wasn't in every scare zone. He wasn't in every house.
His vines were.
No, okay. I'm gonna still stand on my ground that they're intentionally trying to the point where if you listen to the podcast, they're incorporating it in makeup, in costumes. They're trying to make this a cohesive storyline. Right. So they're trying, but to your point, Andy, they haven't in a really long time, and to the point where nothing has been just overtly universal or anything between the two, parks. So, I mean, and this year even more so, we have freaking Minions ruining the first scare zone. I'm so jealous of Hollywood because at least they get a really cool opening ceremony.
I don't think Minions is going to be. It's not going to be a thing. It's so dark that you're not going to really notice it. You're just going to pass through it and not.
We'll see. I hope.
It's
because there is a house entrance there.
You'll miss your Unibon. You'll miss your Monsters Cafe, but other than that, I mean,
other than the one thing that's the most relevant thing to the event. But
Brian would like to tell people that he loves to go to the Monsters Cafe.
I loved Monsters Cafe. It was awesome.
But the food, but how mid was the food?
As mid as the rest of the food in Universal.
Exactly right. That's not a high bar to overcome there. Like
maybe back in the late 2000s when Luigi's Pizza was good and the Earthquake Place served Frosties, but since then, trash.
No. Have you had the Reuben fries?
No, but I saw the Chucky burger, and that was enough for me to be like, I'm out. Or the circus peanut beverage. Get out of here.
You know what? I have a hard time discussing any food at Universal outside the fish and chips at Harry Potter Land. And to
that's a super fair take.
Like that's
Harry Potter Land gets a pass. Their food is good.
Like outside of that,
I think I've only eaten in the Leaky Cauldron. So yeah,
So like, there's really nothing else to say there.
No.
So any final thoughts here on Dueling Dragons, the Haunt? We still haven't. Am I getting a full-size dragon? Am I getting at least one or two full-size dragons?
Here's my fear, and Rob, back me up on this, because Andy doesn't do local haunts. He tried it. You failed him because you took him to freaking Hoochie. Anyway, there's a dragon prop. And Nashville Nightmare, Andy, if you were to come through like Miller is, and Miller and I are going to do a show, right, Danny?
Yeah.
When you come to Nashville, we go to Nashville Nightmare. I'm going to meet up. I'm meeting up with Danny Miller. Let's go. Anyway,
Danny Miller.
There is, just like Halloween Horror Nights, we have an actor who has, he's disabled in a few different ways. By that, I mean, he has no limbs. And he always plays this victim eaten by the dragon. All his limbs are missing, and he crawls on the ground underneath this unbelievable dragon prop. And I know the company that makes these props, they're animatronics / puppets. You can get them either way. Universal's gotten into the puppet game recently. That's something that local haunts had over HHN for probably 5-8 years. And HHN's finally, because again, it doesn't make sense. For a local haunt, they're going to buy it. They're going to use it. I've seen the dragon in Nashville Nightmare for 9 years now.
Yeah.
Halloween Horror Nights makes a puppet or an animatronic. They're not going to use it the next year. Most of the time.
Well, let's go. They did the one puppet. They did the one puppet for American Werewolf in Paris, and they used it twice.
And it was amazing. They used it twice. And what happened the second year? It wasn't as good.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the track record with HHN puppets. You have, and this is only for like I've been doing it for what, 3 years?
Yeah,
so,
newbie.
So yeah,
I've done it more than
that. I'm still a bigger fan than you though, but that's okay. 29. They had the Mind Flayer puppet in the Stranger.
Oh, that's an unfair example.
Hold on, but that was one of the best parts of that house. So
it was one of the best things that Halloween Horror Nights has ever done ever.
Okay, and then they did what was I was going to? They did another puppet. It was
Slaughter Cinema.
No. The next. So did they do one in 31? Did we have a big puppet in 31?
Probably.
30.
And
30.
it probably didn't work, just like Lil Boo and Headless
31.
Horseman.
No, 31. We had in the bugs. We had that big giant. That
Oh, the giant. That's another. That's
giant
true.
thing. So
That's
I'm
fair.
thinking it's going to be more towards that giant bug ant thing that we had at last year's event.
I think you're right.
You're going to have like either or it could be just like Stay Puft in the Ghostbusters house, where you just get like,
the single most disappointing.
because you don't want that the screen.
So in what world did we get a better? Because I thought of the other one. In what world did we get a better giant animatronic puppet in Killer Clowns from Outer Space than Ghostbusters? The Ghostbusters Stay Puft Man, just not impressive. Cool scene, I'll give it that.
Yeah,
but compared to what you just named, and even Bugs,
you can have
Bugs. Hold on, was Bugs a sprung house or was it a parade?
Sprung.
In a sprung house? For those that know me, that's my go-to comment when they pull something off in a sprung house. La Llorona, Ya Llorona was the single like perpetuator of that comment. But the freaking bug prop in Bugs was amazing. It was huge.
And that they could go that way, which would be I think the best way.
Yeah, that's fair.
To do like an ant, like to do a dragon, and it'd probably be like towards the end.
Interesting. So you're thinking we see more than the head, and the neck. We see some.
No, I think it's just. I think it's just gonna be the heads. It's gotta be just the heads.
I want the whole damn. Well, technically, on the entrance, you don't really get a sense of the body too much. Is more the head and like,
hold on. Sorry to interrupt, but Andy, you just brought up something. Do we see the OG Dragons entrance with the Dueling Dragons?
Maybe
I mean, that was
exits.
That'll be the end. That'll be the end. Yeah.
No, because people would want to see that. Think of like Scary Tales, Rob. Remember the Wicked Witch, the jumping over the castle?
Yeah.
Like it was you spent a few minutes in that scene, or not a few minutes, but maybe like 30 seconds to a minute. I think people are going to want to see that. I think you go under the arch. I'm seeing an arch of the dragons underneath into the castle. I think that's what we're getting. I haven't thought about that till now.
Yeah, it has to be there though, right? It
has to. It's the single most iconic thing outside of the freaking like interior.
Well, so they're pretty much. It's going to be mostly the queue. Like the walk through the queue, kind of like the elements there. It's going to be obviously there's not going to be coaster elements to it, so it's not going to be any.
What if the train is in there? How many enthusiasts will try to get in it? That'd be dumb, right? If they put like one of the trains in there.
However, could you do some of the I'm not saying the train, but could you, because the other iconic thing is the double loop. Could you do some sort of architectural symbolization of the double loop?
I think you could. I think, and we saw last year, Halloween Horror Nights is not afraid to go all in on scenic. I mean, they went, Andy, Dead Man's Peak. There were a few houses, but some of the single most unbelievable scenery I've ever seen in a house of all time. So I think maybe we do see a scenic element that represents the loops. That's a great point.
Yeah. Because there's really nothing else besides the loops that really strike me as like everyone would recognize.
No, the 0G and Bunny Hill, but that was more of a Thuzy moment than it was iconic. The loop was what was everybody knew.
Can we get like Harry Potter like being beaten to death somewhere in the haunt?
I'd be down with that. I mean,
not Harry Potter, but someone that looks very close to Harry.
Potter. Is this too far? Could we get? So my next question. My next question is, what else? What's gonna be in the house?
It's only a 4-minute haunt, like 4 to 6 minutes.
But what's jumping out and scaring you? It can't be dragons. We got 2 warlocks. Are there gonna be enchanted creatures like?
Yeah, you're gonna have like
someone with an eye hanging out, or is?
You'll probably get like mutilated frozen knights and mutilated knights and maybe
Here's my other question: will we have a cold and fire element to it?
I hope
Like,
there's
with the
a
house-
cold room. We've seen snow at the event before. We've seen, air conditioned set to 65 at the
Yeah.
event before. Like, I think
Some
so.
people think
They mentioned
it's the Yeti house, but I don't think it's going to be
what'd you
the
say?
Yeti house. They think it's going to be the Yeti house. With
The cold house.
I don't
No,
think
because that's in
I
the
don't think
woods.
it will-
No,
yeah,
I don't think so. I
that will
think
be- I
this is
think
the
we'll
cold
get it.
house. They
Yeah.
also mentioned in the podcast cold and fire. And we've only seen open flames in a house one other time, to the best of my knowledge, which was the orphanage back in 2000 something. But it was the Jaws queue, and the fire was outside. I don't think they can do open flame inside of a soundstage. So how do we see that effect? Do we see the amazing
The Stay Puft.
the Stay Puft, or do we see one of the single greatest fake fire effects of all time, translated from one of the greatest attractions of all time? I'm talking about Spaceship Earth over at Epcot. When you're going through one of the early scenes, there's a little torch with a blue and orange fire. The separation is gorgeous. Do we see that in the house? Or the Harry Potter ride where they shoot the fire out of the dragon at you? I don't know. There's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah, I think you'll see more smoke than fire. But they don't like to smoke up their houses either that much.
They really don't. No, because it slows it down. So here's my last question, because I had to face this today. Is there a chance this house is lame?
Well, it's Universal, so
No.
But I don't think you can. If I'm Universal, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to pull Dueling Dragons out, knowing the cult following that ride has,
right,
I don't think you can skimp. I think they may make poor choices, but I don't think you can just say this is a throwaway house. People are going to go in for the name and not care. Like you can't make this into.
Yeah. Well, the people that are in design, planning design, they seem very ecstatic about the whole working on this whole Dueling Dragons thing.
If you listen to the podcast, there's not a single person on it who didn't love the original attraction. And that tends to be the best houses at Universal when it's not just an IP that they have to do to make money and to get recognition. When it's an actual title that they're very excited about, they tend to go all out. But I don't know. The storyline of two warlocks fighting, I just don't know what. And up until last year, I always said, and Andy, you're pretty notorious for saying something along the lines of, who cares what the content is? It's the same thing. So a scary thing jumps out at you. And that is fair. I will acknowledge it's a super fair argument. But also sometimes there's houses that stand out because of the costumes and because of the makeup. It doesn't negate the fact that, yes, it doesn't matter what's jumping out of you. Universal even poked fun at that in their holiday house when freaking Arbor Day had a jump scare and a tree jumped out. They kind of acknowledge, hey, it doesn't matter what we use to do it. But last year, Dead Man's Wharf, Pier, Winters, whatever, most gorgeous house, one of the most beautiful things I've ever walked through. I can't tell you what a single character looked like except from the original narrator, because it didn't matter. The scares didn't matter in that house, and we're entering a new era. And Dueling Dragons could fit that mold where we just get a beautiful story and an amazing scenic experience.
And let's be honest, if we're going to look at some of the other houses here real quick, The Exorcist, that's probably not going to have that complicated of a set. It's The Exorcist.
And also to note, that movie won't be out until mid-October, so they can't even give away most of that film. It's the reboot.
It's gonna be the trailer. It's gonna be the
trailer. It's a trailer for the house. So to your point, can't be that complicated.
Chucky probably isn't going to have that big of a, it's going to have stuff in it, it's going to be beautiful, but it's not going to have like this ornate thing that dragons would need.
Right.
That's going to be more gory. It's going to be more gory.
I wonder if Universal Monsters is going to reuse some stuff from past haunts.
Universal Monsters is going to be huge.
So I will say last year they stepped up hard on the scenic. Universal Monsters last year is one of the most scenic houses of all time.
Okay. The campground with the Yeti, that's going to be a foresty
easy thing. E.T. the haunted house.
Yep.
And then the Colonial House. We have the Blood Moon Dark Offerings. That's the Colonial House.
Yeah, again, pretty simplistic in set design.
Yeah,
and
smaller.
then the last one, the
Big Bad Wolf.
The what?
Big Bad Wolf, the haunted house, Colonial Dark. The Darkest Deal.
I don't even know what that is.
Curious. Devil went down to Georgia, blues music, did a deal with the devil to be a famous musician. Could be done very simply. I don't know what they're gonna do with that.
Brian, people are calling it Spirits of the Coven.
Honestly, you know what I think? I think it's God, I can't remember the name of the house, not the in between, but the other 3D house they did. The 1920s killer dude meets Coven is how I see that. Like that it was the longest name in Halloween Horror Nights history, whatever that house was.
And then of course, like The Last of Us is going to have a huge set just because of the money
right to replicate a scene. Stranger Things is going to be scenic eye candy,
and then who knows what Oddfellows is going to be too. Like
it's a carnival. So again, to your point, it's a carnival, freak show, not that hard to do. So Dragons is their all in. I think you're right, Andy. I think Dragons is their. Let's it's gonna be their Dead Man's Pier. Is that too extreme to say?
Dragons is gonna be their thing that they're gonna want to really build and really sell.
Rob, do you agree with that statement? The Dueling Dragons will be the Dead Man's Wharf?
I don't know if they'll have the same color, like the way
right. Remove the beauty, but
Dead Man's Pier, like the way the mood was set in Dead Man's Pier, as long as they can.
That'll never be matched. That will never be matched.
No. But ever. I mean, it's still going to be because you got that castle aesthetic, so you're going to get that big set, that big beautiful set there. You've got the kind of like that stained glass.
The Dragon's Door. Yeah. Here's my thing though. The problem is, and what I worry about with this year, there's two repetitive themes here: afterlife and dark claustrophobic tunnels. Dragons had that whole tunnel of bones and skeletons, but what's interesting is Universal Monsters is going to Paris, and they already said we're going to go to the catacombs and underground. It's very similar. You get, I'd rather see the Dragons take on it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and well, maybe they just want their scenic guys just to do the same thing over and over. Like they don't want to.
Right. Just it's easier to mass produce the same thing and put them in two locations than make unique items.
Yeah, so I don't know. I have high hopes that this is gonna be. I was like, no, I'm out of HHN. I'm done.
Right, you tapped out for a while,
and now I'm back. And now,
what are the two reasons you're coming back? Give me two reasons.
Dueling Dragons. It's 2 words. That's and actually
Fire and Ice. What was it? Pyrock and what's the other one?
Yeah, and Fire and Ice. That's
and to be honest, I'm actually
Fire and Ice.
I was planning on going. I've always wanted to do Mickey Not So Scary. I was planning on doing it. I finally got my
second greatest Halloween park event of all time. Everyone shut up.
And I got my annual pass. And I said, okay, this is the year I want to do it. It's gonna work out. And it just so I had no intention of going to Horror Nights. I'm like, I was talking to Dace and I said, maybe we can do SeaWorld. I haven't done that one. Maybe we can do something else. And then Horror Nights does this bullshit, brings me back in, and and now I'm back. And I'm back because of Dueling Dragons. And
I'm surprised you haven't done Orlando, the SeaWorld one yet.
At what point? I haven't.
Out of you of all people, I thought you would have went.
Someone who promoted and shot their commercials and worked very intensely with that scene. It's a great event. You should go.
Yeah. I've been to SeaWorld San Antonio's haunt, so I don't need to, that's enough SeaWorld haunt for me.
Hold on, one word for you. Mako.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Hey, who am I? Pipeline's revolutionary. Well, he revolutionized stand-ups.
So, oh my God. So I had no intention of going to this damn event, and now I'm back, and we'll see what happens from there. But
hold on before we close up. What are your top 3 most anticipated things for Halloween Horror Nights 2023? Are we in 2023? I don't know what you're in.
Well, we don't know the scare zones yet, and if we get a Death Eater scare zone, then I think all bets are off here.
Like, we know the scare zone.
We know the scare zones. It's
Do we know
so
the Scare Zones?
I'm gonna pop
Just
your
don't
balloon.
know.
Scare zone.
Yeah.
Death
Yep.
Eaters is not a scare zone. It's just gonna be a thing that happens in Diagon Alley. That's
And who knows how
unofficial.
often? Who knows how often that's going to happen too? Because that
Yeah,
might be.
you're gonna have to camp it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some bullshit.
Okay.
But I kind of suggested they do that. Like, why don't you just do that? Like, just have
Right.
Death Eaters walking around. It'd be really cool.
Yeah. Now I know one thing, Rob. I can give you Andy's Halloween Horror Nights 32 top 3 list right now. You want to hear it?
Yeah,
You
Sure.
ready?
I wanna
Dueling
know.
Dragons, Death Eaters, Nightmare Fuel.
I think the
Oh,
Nightmare Fuel. I
yes.
saw that.
You're gonna love the
Yes,
show,
yes.
Andy. You're gonna love it.
People like Nightmare
I think
Fuel.
I will.
That's a pretty show.
It seems like my kind of show. You know.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yep.
He's like,
Yeah.
I feel like I saw it the first year. I don't know if I've seen it before. Like,
No,
I don't know what year. We'd have to go back and look.
we'd have to go back. Too bad.
Nightmare
wasn't
Fuel.
updated.
Nightmare
What we need to do, I think right now, let us know in the comments. Should we do a follow-up show of all of our haunt adventures with Andy doing Mickey's Not So Scary and Halloween Horror Nights? Because I love Mickey's Not So Scary. I think it's an amazing event. I'm curious to hear your experience with it this year.
Yeah. I think we should do a follow-up show.
All right, I'm good with
to
that.
see if this is epic because I'm also probably going opening weekend. Is that a bad move? Is that bad?
On Halloween Horror Nights?
Yeah.
Everyone strap in, buckle up. We're going another hour. Andy, what? You're crazy.
Well,
No.
Labor Day weekend's like the one weekend I can
Here's
make
my
this work.
question. All right, first off, do you have your tickets already?
No.
Dude, buy them. That weekend sells out.
Yep.
Before last year, hold on. Last year it was sold out at this point already.
No, I looked already. I can buy tickets right now.
You need to buy tickets. It will sell out. I guarantee you.
And it's
Opening
fresh.
weekend is crazy. And you can be boots on the ground. We can do a check-in with you because here's my rule. For anybody I'm like Halloween Horror Nights, big fan here. I only go to opening weekend if I can go 2 times that year. If I can't go 2 times, I don't touch opening weekend because it's its own mess. It's its own thing. The energy is unbelievable. The crew is unbelievable. So it's bad because the talent doesn't get time to work their scares. They don't know how to work it in, but they also have the excitement of this is the first time anyone to see. I love opening weekend. The only thing you're gonna hate, maybe not because you're in the scene. Oh, the last few years, and I didn't even realize how bad it was until Rob informed me. The vloggers, the influencers, they're out in full force.
Yes.
Oh, they are.
But
well, you know what people have said? Just bring along a Disney, song like radio with you and just play Disney music and it'll ruin their shit.
It'll ruin. Yep, absolutely.
Disney will cut that out.
They'll cut that. They'll they'll ruin it.
Yeah,
dude, I can't. I want to hear your opening weekend review. Honestly, I'm pretty excited about. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm.
What do you think about that? What do you think of the fact that HHN is finally catching up to Disney and hitting the 1st of September till end of October?
It works out for me right now because like I could do Columbus Day, but Columbus Day is just as busy usually too,
and it's
Columbus
way
Day
more expensive.
Should they do
super more expensive too? Like that's the other thing is both Not So Scary and HHN are significantly.
They've gotten crazy.
When does Not So Scary start?
Mid-August. Mid-August.
Why isn't Halloween Horror Nights starting mid-August?
That's a great question. I would say staffing, and I don't think the difference between Mickey's Not So Scary still fits in the Disney fairy tale of like it's Halloween, it's fun. People aren't ready. I mean, it's hard to convince people to go to haunted houses in September.
Yeah,
and that aren't HHN fans.
I went to a local haunt Saturday, and they had
how many people were there, Rob?
50.
Yeah.
50 people.
To be fair, that's on the local haunt. You do a halfway to Halloween event. You don't do anything in the summer because that's too close to haunted house season.
Yeah, you got to do it like around my birthday in April.
Right.
That's the time.
Right. Well, I'm pretty excited about this season. Andy, you're not riding Velocicoaster, which is crazy, but you're going to Halloween Horror Nights. And I got one question for you because it's right over Rob's shoulder.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Chucky?
Whatever.
Let's go.
Although Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss's costumes in Chucky were fantastic.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Okay.
I'm on a call with Chucky haters. So that's cool.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
we'll do our own show, Rob.
Well,
I got
thank
you coming
guys.
up.
This has been fun. We need to do this more often.
We do. I'm happy.
Jesus,
Thanks for having me back. I'm happy to be back. So
yeah, if you're unfutured endeavored. I looked it up. You were future endeavored June. I have the date here. Oh no, I don't have the date anymore. I gotta open up the Hauniverse Twitter.
oh.
Yeah, there was a tweet there that says that you got future endeavored.
What is that? I'm gonna be real embarrassing here. What does that mean?
We wished you all the best in your future endeavors on June 19th, 2021. So
oh my god.
Yeah, and now you're back.
And now I'm back because
From
maybe I'm compromising stuff here, but I have no contractual obligations. So
no.
I'm a free agent.
Any show, I guess.
I'm a free agent. We can do any show. I'm gonna drop some crazy news right here. That's probably the internet's best kept secret. And I've kept this secret for so long. I don't know if I'm ready to face this. Rob, should I do it? Should I unveil the best kept secret on the internet?
Go ahead.
I'm just going to say it real quick, and then we're going to move on. We're talking about if you want more, if you like what you hear, but you don't care about, look, Hauniverse will always be near and dear to my heart. We're going to reboot it. It's great. But I got really hyper-focused into Halloween Horror Nights, and there's a specific podcast that I have to mention. It's called Ryan and Brian's Excellent Halloween Horror Nights podcast. If you want all things Halloween Horror Nights, if you heard things here that you thought, oh, I'd like more information, that's where that happens. But outside of that, Andy, I'm just happy to be out of the contractual obligations for amusement parks, haunt events, because here's the thing. Here's an annoying thing for all those kids out there. When you choose a profession that is your dream, and it's amusement parks, and it's haunted houses, and it's marketing, you got to sign a 3-letter document that is the worst invention in the world. It's called an NDA. Not a lot of talk about stuff. And I don't like that. And I'm back because I got a real job. Because Danny and Andy said I should get a real job. So I did that. And now I can do stuff like this. And I'm back and I'm happy. Yeah. DSD is dead. DSDD, Dark Side Dick, dead. And man, I'm excited for a fall event. I'm just happy that we're doing this right now. I'm all things Halloween Horror Nights. And I'm local haunts up and down. You know, Danny Miller's going to come to National Nightmare with this year. I don't know how to feel about that.
I wouldn't hold your breath, but hey, you can. you can.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Has he ever went through a local haunt?
Has Miller gone? No, he goes to PPP.
I think he went to that boat thing at Maury's Pier. Didn't he go to the boat thing?
That doesn't count.
It doesn't count. Okay.
That doesn't count at all. Andy, let's talk about street cred. Andy has more local haunt street cred than Danny Miller.
I've been to, what's the one in Atlanta called?
Netherworld.
Netherworld. I've been there. I've been to.
If you've been to Netherworld, you don't have to go anywhere else. That's every local haunt ever.
Yeah.
And Hoochie.
Screamageddon. I've been.
Can we talk about that real quick? I saw a video of last year's Screamageddon, and it tempted me to go. Should I do it?
No. Well, the problem is they moved Screamageddon to a completely different location now, which is weird. So, and they got.
Was it close to Busch Gardens?
No, I think it's just on the other side of the city of Lakeland or wherever the hell it is.
Well, tell me how far that is.
It's like
hour, 2 hours.
It was close. I don't remember. It's been years.
Was it an hour and a half?
It's like maybe an hour from Busch.
But it's not there anymore. It's in a new location.
It's on the other side of the city, so it's in the same general area. It's not
okay.
Yeah. So if you're gonna go, you're gonna go. But they got rid of the tractor ride, so it's no longer there.
Oh.
The haunted. So
it's just another local haunt then.
Basically.
There's another haunt in Florida that a bunch of old Halloween Horror Nights creators helped open. But I think they learned what?
Was it Sir Henry's, or are you talking about the?
I don't know. I just saw an article on it, but I haven't heard a lot. And what I read was that they learned what it's like working without a budget, which checks out.
No, that wasn't Sir Henry's then, because Sir Henry's I heard was really good. So that would probably be the other one that they have. I think it's like It's like that drive-through one, I think.
Oh, that's right. That started. Yeah. So, well, maybe we should do a Hauntiverse update on the local haunt scene. I don't know.
Maybe we should do a lot of things. But
do a lot
this
of
will
things.
conclude our Dueling Dragons discussion. This has been wonderful.
Fire's gonna win.
Ice. Thank you for everyone for joining us here tonight on COASTER-net Update. It's been a really long update. This is maybe the longest update ever, to be honest with you. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from
I'm
Chicago,
worth it. I don't
Illinois.
care.
I'm the one, Rob Dole.
And I am Dark Side Brian Bass. And Rob, I'm gonna be honest. BS. Got me. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think in the last I don't know, 15 years or so of doing this that Andy's room could be outdone. But your Halloween setup,
it's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive. You're coming for Andy's collection.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think some of these things
silly.
Yeah. Well, okay. I guess I could end it with Rob. Show me your belt. You don't got one of those.
Yeah, right.
But I'm honored. You got Chucky. That's a belt. Wear him around your waist.
Right.
I'm honored to be joined by these two and invited by these two. Thank you for having me, Andy. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be so honest right now. I cannot wait. I can't wait for Andy's review of HHN. It's been literally years.
Yeah.
Like almost a decade.
Yeah. I'm just hoping the lines don't kill me. That's my only concern is that the
opening weekend's going to be brutal. Buy a fast pass. You'll be okay.
Yeah. I might have to bite the bullet on that one and just.
You're not going to the parks?
I might buy that early Scream ticket.
Buy the Scream early. Yeah. That'll save you.
But if I buy the fast pass, do I really need the Scream early ticket? Like
yes.
No.
Yes, you need.
Well. We're talking to the king. We're talking to the king.
We only got a little bit of time left here. I've done this damn event, and you guys are fast pass. I've never bought a fast pass at this event ever, and I have still completed all the houses in one evening. Okay.
But here's my question, and I know who we're talking to. So I'm setting myself up for failure here. But you might want to do multiple passes on one of the houses.
Well, on one of the houses, I might want to do multiple passes, or I might just want to skip all the other houses and just do the same house over and over.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The fast pass is only good if you want to guarantee seeing every single house once. If you don't care about that, then you don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because you only get one in that, right? You only get
one each.
Yeah,
but there is also, again, we talk about this on there's some crazy things like the super secret unlimited ultimate fast pass that is not advertised. You only get it by asking about it, just like the after 11 p.m. 50% off fast pass.
Yeah.
We got some secrets.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's only good one time. If you don't care about seeing everything. And I know Andy's hyped about Chucky.
Last year I did it with the Just to Stay and Scream, and I got all the houses done.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I'm just more concerned about opening weekend.
Then get the stay. Then get the Stay and Scream. Don't get the fast pass, and you'll be good.
If you don't care about Last of Us or Stranger Things, you're good.
Yeah.
I made that mistake that one year, the first Stranger Things year, when I went into that one first, because they posted 50 minutes and it was actually 2 hours.
Yeah. So here's the trick with that. If you do stay in Scream or you're staying in the area, don't go to the IPs first.
Yeah.
Because every other house will be a walk-on.
Yeah.
And you'll get a better experience because you'll get the isolated experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as always, thank you for joining us here. And ride on, Ride Warriors, or scare on. Scare
on for the Hauntiverse fans out there.
Peace out.
I love you, Andy.